back to the when did you first meet Artur? Like what was that situation like? How you guys crossed paths and started working with him?
Funny because I had never heard of Arthur, and Russ Sandber, who cut man and trainer, and he owns Rival Products, and Russ was telling me about him because Arthur was getting ready to fight Tavoris Cloud,
Okay.
and Cloud was former world champion, had just went 12 with Hopkins, and Arthur only had like 7 fights, and he's telling me like, "Oh man, Scully, you got to see this guy. Beterbiev. He's unbelievable. He's getting ready to fight Tavoris Cloud." And I looked him up, and I'm like, "Yeah, but he's only got 7 fights. What are you doing?" And he goes, "Trust me, we're not worried about it." He goes, "You'll see." And he stopped Cloud like in 2 or 3 rounds, whatever it was. So not long after that, they had called me, and basically, I guess what it was Arthur wanted someone on the team who had been a professional fighter at a certain level. You know what I mean? Like somebody to relate to on that end of it. And Russ knew me, and Mark Ramsey knew me. I had sparred with John Pascal before, and Russ. Mark was in the corner for that. So they called me, asked me if I wanted to come up. That was in February of 2016. I came up. We did the mitts on the first day, and I remember thinking it went really well. I showed Arthur a couple things, that I think adjusted him a little bit or whatever it was, and I guess obviously it was good because I've been with him ever since.
Gotcha. What stands out about him? Because all fighters are different. I mean, what makes him unique and as far as his abilities and how he trains?
I've never seen anyone like him. Like I've never seen anyone consumed by training. If anything, you got to slow them down. I spent years saying, "Hey, man, you gotta relax a little bit. You got to take it easy sometimes. Everything doesn't have to be all out." But I always give this example, and this is the best example, and it's on my YouTube page. It's not very long, but I always tell the story. When he fought Joe Smith for the undisputed title at Madison Square Garden, he trained for 8 9 weeks, whatever it was. He wins the title on Saturday night. He goes home Sunday. He takes Monday off. Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock, he was in the gym hitting a tire with sledgehammers at 7 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 3 days after the fight, he wins the title. He's up at 7. That means he had to get up at 6 to prepare to get there and drive over there. And it's not easy hitting the tower with the sledgehammer. It's a hard exercise,
Yeah.
and he's doing that. And I'm like, man, nobody does this. Like, I don't care who you are. Nobody does this a couple days after their big fight, their big win. And in training for the last fight a few years later, which was a couple months ago, I was asking him. I said, "Hey, well, why'd you do that? Like, what was that all about?" And I remember he looked at me. He didn't really understand the question. Like, to him, he couldn't understand why I couldn't understand that he'd be up 3 days after the fight at 7 o'clock hitting the tire on the wall. He didn't understand what was unusual about this. And I'm saying, man, like in my head, I'm like, there's nobody like you. I know guys who train hard, probably, in many ways, they train as hard as Arthur, or pretty close, but they don't go in the gym 3 mornings after the fight and hit sledgehammers against the wall. Like they don't do that. And so he's just different. He's different, his mentality. And another thing that's unique about him. I mean, when I came in, he wasn't champion yet, but he's already, he's a good fighter. He's already knocked out Tavoris Cloud and Campillo and, world amateur champion and all that. Hot prospect. And here I come teaching him a couple moves, right? And he's practicing the moves, and he's having me show him again like he's a kid, like he's an amateur. And I got to show him how to do it. Like, don't just tell him to do it, but I got to show him how, and I got to explain why. And then when the gym is over that day, He's over in the corner by himself practicing the same move for like 20 minutes on his own. I've never seen anybody do that. Like when the gym is over, the gym is over. They go home. But he wanted to stick around by himself just so he could get the movement down or whatever it is he was looking for. You don't see that. You don't see that very often. It's amazing, really.